Your foot goes down, but instead of the firm, solid bite you expect, it keeps going. It feels wrong, soft, spongy. Like stepping on a marshmallow when you need to feel solid steel. The car slows, but it's a terrifying, sluggish response. You've just felt one of the scariest things a driver can experience. You take it to the shop. The mechanic nods. He's seen this 1,000 times. He says the two words you're expecting to hear: air in the lines.
It's the most common diagnosis in the world for a spongy brake pedal, and it makes perfect sense. Air is the great enemy of hydraulics. It's a gas, it's compressible, and even a tiny bubble of it in your brake fluid can turn a rock-solid pedal into a wet sponge. The fix is simple: a brake bleed. Force the old fluid and the trapped air out, replace it with new, clean fluid, and the pedal feels perfect again.
Solid safe for now. The fix works for a week, maybe a month. Then the softness returns. A creeping, unnerving feeling that the car might not stop when you need it to. You go back, they bleed the brakes again, and again it works for a little while. Your mechanic is chasing a ghost. A phantom that disappears every time he performs the ritual, only to return when you least expect it. 99% of the time, the diagnosis is air. But what about that other 1%? What if the problem isn't a ghost you can chase out of the lines? What if the monster is already inside the house?
We have to stop thinking like mechanics and start thinking like forensic engineers. We're leaving the workshop and entering the laboratory.
The usual suspects? We line them up. Worn brake pads? No. They'd make a grinding noise, not a soft pedal. Warped rotors? That would cause a violent vibration, a pulsing under your foot. A faulty brake booster? Worn calipers? A leaking wheel cylinder? All possible. But when the problem vanishes and reappears with every single brake bleed, our investigation
points to a deeper, more sinister culprit. The evidence leads us here, to the very heart of your braking system. The master cylinder.
It's a small, unassuming block of metal sitting right in front of the driver. But inside this tiny component, a high-stakes drama is unfolding. A battle between liquid and solid, pressure and containment. This is the ghost's lair.
When you press the brake pedal, you're not just moving a lever. You are commanding a force multiplier. Your foot pushes a piston inside this cylinder. That piston forces brake fluid, a liquid that absolutely cannot be compressed, down a network of metal tubes to all four wheels. This is physics in its purest form. Pressure you apply here is transmitted there, instantly. Your gentle foot pressure becomes an immense clamping force at the wheels, turning motion into heat and bringing thousands of pounds of metal to a dead stop. It's a beautiful, elegant system, and it all depends on one simple, critical fact. Liquid doesn't compress.
But gas does. That's why air in the lines is so devastating. Your foot pressure is wasted just squeezing a tiny bubble of air instead of moving the fluid. But what if there is no air? What if the problem isn't a gas bubble? What if the fluid itself is betraying you? Look closer. Inside the master cylinder are two pistons, moving within a perfectly bored tube. And on each piston are rubber seals. These seals are the guardians of the system. They are the microscopic barrier that keeps the high-pressure fluid on one side and the low-pressure fluid on the other. Think about their job. They are designed to hold back forces of over 1,000 pounds per square inch, thousands upon thousands of times, without ever failing. But they do fail, and they fail in a way
that is almost impossible to see. The mechanic bleeds the brakes, and the pedal is firm. Why? Because the system is once again a solid, unbroken column of incompressible fluid. But as you drive, as you brake over and over, something invisible happens. The seal, under immense pressure, flexes, it distorts, and for a split second, a tiny, microscopic amount of high-pressure fluid bypasses the seal. It leaks from the pressure side, back into the reservoir side, all within the master cylinder. It's an internal leak, a bypass.
you press the pedal expecting solid resistance. But instead of all your force pushing fluid to the brakes, a small portion is lost. Slipping past a traitorous seal, the pedal travels farther than it should. It feels soft, spongy. It feels exactly like there's air.
In the lines, but there isn't. You are trying to compress a liquid, but the container itself is leaking from the inside out. It's a ghost that mimics the symptoms of air perfectly, but it's made of liquid, not gas. This is the core of the mystery.
The reason the problem always comes back. Bleeding the brakes does nothing because there is no air to remove. You're performing an exorcism on a house that isn't haunted, while the real problem, a structural failure, is being completely ignored.
So why is this missed so often? It's a perfect crime. We're all told to look for leaks, a stain on the driveway, a drip from a caliper. But this ghost leaves no trace. The fluid never leaves the master cylinder.
It just moves from the wrong side of the piston to the right side. It's a crime committed in a space smaller than your fist, leaving zero evidence behind. The real shock comes when you finally have the failed part in your hands. Let's put that little rubber seal under a microscope. You expect to see a gaping tear, a catastrophic failure, something obviously broken. But you see nothing. It looks fine, maybe a little worn, but it's not ripped. It's not torn. And this is the invisible wound. This is the secret that makes this problem an absolute nightmare to diagnose.
While some failed seals show visible cracks or deformation, many can look almost perfect to the naked eye. The failure isn't a rip you can spot. The failure is a loss of a fundamental property. It's elasticity. It's a subtle change in its shape, a hardening of the rubber from millions of heat cycles and pressure changes. A part can pass a visual inspection with flying colors, but fail completely under the crushing load of its real job.
Imagine a brand new rubber seal. Under 1,000 psi of pressure, it presses itself against the cylinder wall, creating a perfect, impenetrable barrier. Now imagine our old, tired seal. Under that exact same pressure,
It deforms just a few microns, too much. It loses its sharp, clean edge. It allows a mere whisper of fluid to escape past it. This failure is completely invisible at rest. It only happens in the heat of the moment.
under the immense forces of a hard stop. It's a betrayal you can only feel, not see. So how do you catch a ghost that leaves no trace and wears a perfect disguise? You stop looking for evidence.
And you set a trap. There is a way to test for this. A simple, elegant, mechanical test that requires no computer, no scanner, no flashing lights. It's a fundamental piece of know-how from the days before every car was a supercomputer. The technician disconnects the brake lines from the master cylinder and plugs the outlet ports. The cylinder is now a completely closed system.
It's isolated from the rest of the car. Now, you press the brake pedal. If the seals are good, the pedal should be rock solid.
It should move less than an inch and stop dead. You are trying to compress a trapped, unmoving column of fluid.
It should feel like pushing against a brick wall. But if there's an internal bypass, your foot will slowly but surely sink towards the floor. That solid wall turns to quicksand. The pressure is bleeding away internally, leaking past that invisible wound in the seal.
The ghost is caught. The diagnosis is confirmed. Not by a code on a screen, but by a simple, undeniable law of physics.
So why is this test so often overlooked in the modern era? Because we live in an age of electronics. Modern cars have dozens of computers, and technicians are trained to trust the diagnostic scanner.
They plug in, and the car is supposed to tell them what's wrong. But the master cylinder has no sensor. To detect an internal leak, it cannot throw a code. The computer sees nothing. The scanner is silent.
In a world of digital ghosts, this analog phantom can slip by completely unnoticed.
The reliance on electronic tools can cause even the best mechanics to overlook this fundamental hydraulic test.
The story of the spongy brake pedal isn't just about a failed part. It's about a failure in diagnosis. It's about the conflict between what we see and what is actually happening under pressure. It's a reminder that the most frustrating problems often hide in plain sight, disguised as something else entirely.
The accepted solution, bleeding the brakes, only deepens the mystery because it treats the symptom, not the cause.
The ghost was never air in the lines. It was liquid, betraying its duty, slipping through a barrier that looked strong, but was secretly weak. The solution was never to chase bubbles out of the system, but to replace the compromised heart of the system itself. Now you know the secret. You understand the ghost, its hiding place, and the words to describe it.
You have the key. That feeling of a soft pedal is no longer a vague, frustrating mystery. It is a specific, mechanical event, an internal master cylinder bypass. The final animation of the fluid slipping past the seal isn't just a technical diagram. It's the unmasking of the villain. Now you see the hidden truth. You have the power of sight in a world where others are blind.
If you want to uncover more of these engineering secrets and understand how the world really works, subscribe to the channel. Join the community of people who look past the easy answers to find the real story, written in the language of physics and steel.